Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has called on states of the Federation to join in the sensitization campaign against fake news and hate speeches. Speaking at the 47th National Council on Information in Kaduna on Thursday, the minister said the biggest threat to the 2019 general election was fake news and hate speech. Alhaji Mohammed stated that hate speech was the catalyst in the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, where 800,000 people died, making the federal government to draw attention to the dangers posed by it to the national peace, security and democracy. According to him, the issue transcends political party lines, religion and ethnicity.
Your Excellency, Honorable Commissioners, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is undoubtedly one of the most important National Council on Information meetings that we have ever held. Why? Because it touches on an issue that has a direct impact on the peace and unity of our dear country, Nigeria, on our democracy, and indeed on our very survival as a nation. That is why I consider the theme, tackling fake news and hate speech to enhance peace and national unity, very fitting and most timely. I said most timely because with the 2019 general elections just a little over 60 days away, there is no issue that is more relevant to the election than the issue of fake news and hate speech. This issue transcends political party lines, religion, ethnicity, and even nationality. Left unchecked, fake news and hate speech constitute the biggest threat to the forthcoming elections. We're not just saying it now, we said it as far back as 2017.
The minister explained that fake news has the capacity to alter the course of elections and create legitimacy problem for the winner of elections. He maintained that though it was the responsibility of the federal government and all tiers of government to campaign against fake news, and charged the commissioners of information in the states to launch the campaign in their various states.
Fake news has the capacity to alter the course of any election and trigger legitimacy problems for the winner. A recent study by researchers at the Ohio State University, United States, concluded that Russian interference and the fake news it promoted probably played a significant role in depressing Hillary Clinton's support on the day of the country's 2017 presidential elections. Among the fake news circulated ahead of the election were one, that Hillary Clinton is in poor health due to a serious disease. Two, that Pope Francis endorsed candidate Trump. And finally, that Clinton approved weapons sales to Islamic jihadists. I'm sure you can all see a parallel in what is happening in Nigeria today. Even the winner of that election, President Donald Trump, is still reeling from the impact of the alleged Russian intervention and fake news. Fake news has the capacity to trigger violence. In India, over half a dozen people lost their lives early this year because of fake news or hoax messages. The victims were lynched after they were falsely accused of child abduction based on fake news, on fake messages circulated via the social media platform WhatsApp. Right here in Nigeria, we are all aware of a recent report by the BBC that fake news circulating in the social media is fueling the farmers' herders crisis in Nigeria. Disturbing pictures from other lands are being circulated freely via Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter, purportedly being from the killings in Jos, Taraba, or Benue State. Also in 2017, you recall, a fake reporter circulated on the social media claimed that 5 students of the College of Education in Gidanwaya, here in Kaduna State, were ambushed and killed by Fulani herdsmen in southern Kaduna. That report turned out to be false. No student was killed. Imagine the reprisal killings that this piece of fake news could have triggered. Now, what about his speech? I'm sure many of us here remember the role that his speech played in the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, which was just alluded to by the DG of the FRCN. This genocide, which left at least 800,000 people dead. His speech was a major catalyst of that genocide. Anti-Tutsi articles and cartoons in the Kangura newspaper, as well as hate speech and incitement to violence on the radio station called Radio Télévision Libre de Mille Collines, RTLMC, helped to set the stage for that genocide. The station was set up by hardline Hutu extremists and received the backing of many rich and prominent people in that country. Those who saw the danger posed by the station called for it to be shut down. But against the background of freedom of speech, such calls fell on deaf ears until it was too late. I want to ask, what constitutes fake news and hate speech? I have no doubt in my mind that we all know what fake news and hate speech are about. However, for the record, fake news, according to the online encyclopedia, Wikipedia, is deliberate disinformation or hoaxes spread via traditional print and broadcast news media or online social media. In other words, that which is willfully false is what is called fake news. On the other hand, hate speech is defined by the same Wikipedia as that speech that attacks persons or groups on the basis of race, religion, ethnic origin, national origin, gender, disability, sexual orientation, etc. How do we check fake news and hate speech? Since launching our national campaign against fake news and hate speech, we have been inundated with pieces of advice on how to stem the tide of this trend. Some have called for legislative action. Others have said only punitive action will serve as deterrence. We did not claim a monopoly on the way out, but we have consistently said we do not intend to resort to coercion or censorship. Rather, we have been appealing to the sense of responsibility of all Nigerians. We have also been urging the media to take the lead in this campaign. For the media, any story that fails the basic test of 5 W's and how cannot be real. The questions to ask are the following: who was involved? What happened? Where did it happen? Where did it take place? Why did it happen? And how did it happen? For ordinary Nigerians, the test is even simpler. Before sharing that information on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or WhatsApp, do 2 things. 1, ask yourself, how credible is the source of this information? And also, please don't share any information you cannot vouch for.
He urged the 20 state commissioners at the council meeting to brainstorm and evolve policies that will address the menace of fake news and hate speeches. Earlier, the executive governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, has called for total support for the campaign against fake news and hate speech, which he said has become a fundamental problem in Kaduna State. The governor, while receiving the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, and other members of his delegation, said most of the crises and killings in the state recently were as a result of fake news and hate speech, and therefore supported the need to sustain the campaign vigorously. He said the state has resolved to enact legislation against fake news and therefore tasked the meeting to come out with strong recommendations on the issue of fake news and hate speech.
Your Excellency, the theme of your council this year is very, very appropriate and apt, because more than many states in the Federation, Kaduna State has borne the brunt of hate speech and fake news. The recent crisis we had in Kaduna Metropolis and Kaduna was largely as a result of hate speech and fake news. Indeed, the second round of crisis we had that affected Kaduna Metropolis started because rumors started circulating that the abducted chief of Adara had been killed. And within an hour, 22 people were killed in Kaduna Metropolis. And it was totally false. Unfortunately, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, because by the time you create a lie that leads to the death of 22 people, consequences will follow. And even though the ransom was paid and it was free, 5 minutes before you could get to the road, the kidnappers shot and killed him. And what was the story? The story that was circulating was that I invited the chief to a meeting and told him that his chiefdom will become an emirate, and he disagreed with me, and I said I would deal with him. So when he was abducted on his way back to Kachia, it was implied that I arranged the abduction. This is what started the crisis, and it's totally false. I have never invited any chief to the government house. Only when they write to me and say they want to meet me for one reason or another. I've never invited any chief. And if I do, I have an argument with the chief, I can depose him. The chief's deposition law gives me the power to convene one meeting and depose him. So why should I threaten him? I can depose him. In fact, I can abolish the chiefdom or emirate under the law. I don't need anyone to do that. So why would I arrest the abduction? But this was the story that was circulating. It raised tensions, and many people were killed. Until today, parts of that chiefdom are under partial cover because we are yet to get comfortable based on security guidance that the place is safe. So this is a very, very important issue that you are discussing, Honorable Minister, and I think the program you've launched against fake news in all the federal government on media is quite commendable and should be sustained. But beyond that, what we found here in Kaduna State is the Cybercrime Act, which is the one that provides a framework for pursuing people that use social media to proliferate fake news, vests jurisdiction in the Federal High Court. So we cannot easily and quickly prosecute those involved. So we are relying on the penal code. The case you mentioned of Hmic, who sat in Lagos, in the comfort of Lagos, and posted a story that 5 students of journalism or College of Education had been killed. Which was totally false. I know how I called him. I said, look, what you are posting is not true. He said, well, he has his own information that they called him from home and told him. We contacted the College of Education. They said, we are a College of Education. We don't do NCA in journalism or mass communication. So there is nothing like that. He said, okay, issue a statement that it is not true. Because of the fear of tensions and reprisals, the college issued a statement. Hmic still insisted they were forced by the government to issue that statement. 5 people were killed. And we are currently prosecuting him. Now when we filed a complaint and got him arrested and brought to Kaduna, social media went all, abuse of human rights. All of a sudden, people that do things that lead to the deaths of others have greater human rights than those that have been killed. What nonsense is that? So we are prosecuting Hmic vigorously, and he felt that when he realized that he was misled, he posted a caption and he felt that was enough, and he said, no, we are going to have you convicted fast. But this was 2016. We are in 2018. He's still on bail. He's walking the streets. In fact, he went to a court in Abuja and said we abused his fundamental human rights and even got a judgment which we are appealing and will appeal it to the highest court of the land. So we have fundamental problems, Your Excellency. First, what we need to give state governments and state high courts jurisdiction to try this because the federal government cannot do it alone. What we are thinking of doing in Kaduna State is to enact our own legislation against fake news and so on. Right now we have enough in the penal code to try people that do that, but we need a stronger framework that recognizes the technologies and the processes that are used now more than ever. It is a big problem, particularly in a state like Kaduna where everything, even if you invite 10 people to lunch, it becomes a religious or ethnic, it acquires a religious or ethnic coloration. It's something we've been trying to downplay since we came into the government. So I commend the council for taking this very serious matter, and I strongly recommend that not only the federal government and its agencies should be at the forefront of this war against hatred, but I think the state governments should be, and the state courts should be given broader jurisdiction to be able to respond to this. Recently there was a clip going around the pastor in Abuja that said that I was the one that arranged the abduction and the murder of the album Kachia. There were peace in Abuja, so we'll get it. We're focused on that. We know the dangers of this kind of careless statements. And what is most unfortunate, the guiltiest people in this are people that you assume should be responsible. Pastors, imams, and very, very important people in the society. It is not only the president that was said to be cloned. I am also someone from Mali. Someone went to my Wikipedia page and even changed my birthplace to Bamako, Mali. They really verified that when he went on exile in 2009. And these kind of things are becoming quite common. And you have a whole range of gullible people who actually believe it. Believe it or not, sir, I will not mention names, but a very, very senior person that was in government with me under Obasanjo asked me that, you know President Buhari very well. I said, yes. What is this story about Jubilee of Sudan? You should know it. I said, you? I just shook my head and decided that there was nothing to discuss. But, you know, this is it. So we have a serious problem, sir. And those that are running away from the need to have a legislative framework to deal with this subject, sir, are putting this country in danger. Because it is not weapons that kill, sir. It is words that kill. 800,000 people in Rwanda were killed in 2 weeks because of words, radio. And if we continue to play with this, one day this country will go in flames. So, Your Excellency, the recommendations of the Council on this matter should be very strong. We should have an enabling framework. We should put a cap on what you can get away with in social media. Even in the US and the UK, if you Google Crown Prosecution Service, they have guidelines for prosecution of fake and inciting statements in social media. So we must do something. Otherwise, we are all in danger. So with that, Your Excellency, I welcome you again to Kaduna. I hope you have very fruitful deliberations. And I want to assure you that the government and people of Kaduna State are ready to welcome you anytime you wish to come. Thank you, sir. May God bless you.